WWL-TV, Channel 4, New Orleans. This is Louisiana's news leader. Channel 4's Eyewitness News.
Still to come on Night Watch, big chemical companies say they have cut back on pollution, but is it enough? Dave McNamara's special report is coming up. As Louisiana environmental regulators release the latest figures on industrial pollution, they say the news is good, that fewer toxins are going into the environment.
But the new numbers are raising concerns that the trend of declining toxic releases may be changing for the worse. Dave McNamara has the special report on how much pollution is ending up in our air, land, and water, and where those toxic releases are coming from.
Over the last 11 years, the amount of toxic chemicals being released into Louisiana's environment has plummeted. In 1987, the first year that industry had to report its releases, 700 million pounds of toxins flowed into the state's water, air, land, and injection wells. But new figures show that in 1998, the emissions fell to 187 million pounds. That's a 73% drop. State regulators say that industry has cleaned up.
Projects that companies themselves have taken and have put in place to basically bring about reduction. So it's pollution prevention activities kicking in.
It's no surprise that the highest levels of toxic releases are in the Mississippi River Industrial Corridor. They come from the numerous petrochemical plants that line the river from New Orleans up to Baton Rouge. Topping the list is Ascension Parish at 51 million pounds of toxic releases. That one small parish accounts for more than 1/4 of all the emissions in the state. Number 2 is Jefferson Parish at 23 million pounds. Most of that goes to underground injection wells at the SciTech and Whitco plants on the West Bank. St. James is third at 17 million, with IMC Agrico's 2 fertilizer plants accounting for 16 million of that. And St. Charles Parish is fourth with 15 million pounds of toxic releases. Monsanto leads the parish with 9 million pounds. Shell's East and West oil refineries total 1.6 million. And Whitco, Motiva, and Union Carbide each release close to 1 million pounds of toxins. But a closer look at the new numbers shows there is a disturbing trend. The big declines of the early years have ended.
If you look at the last 4 years, for the chemicals that have consistently been reported over that time, the emissions are going up.
In fact, the total releases of those core chemicals have risen 6% since 1995. Wilma Subra, a chemist who works with community groups on hazardous waste issues, is also alarmed that the most recent numbers show that toxins released into the air are on the rise.
If your water's contaminated, if you have enough money, you can buy bottled water. If you've got contaminated air in front of your face, it's going into your body no matter what you do.
We're learning how to do it better.
The Louisiana Chemical Association says its members, which include most of the state's major petrochemical plants, cut their emissions 10% from 97 to 98.
I think we have a responsibility to be good citizens.
But are your emissions making people sick?
Our emissions are, as I said, we are making a concerted effort to continue to work very hard. The men and women who work for our industry work very hard to reduce emissions.
But critics charge that industry only responds to government regulations or public pressure, as residents living near the fence lines of petrochemical plants blame their health problems on pollution.
There has not been a study that has made a causal relationship between the health issues or health concerns and the emissions that are being released.
Residents have begun taking their own air samples, and in some communities, people are logging when they smell noxious odors or feel ill. Wilma Subra is matching those dates to toxic releases reported by the industries.
They're experiencing upper respiratory problems, they're experiencing skin rashes, they're experiencing neurological problems. Those impacts are cause and effect, and we've documented them.
Subra contends that industry does better when it knows the public is watching, and a decade of data backs that up. And now, people who are the most at risk are trying to up the pressure on petrochemical plants to clamp down even more on their toxic releases and continue a trend that began a decade ago. Dave McNamara, Eyewitness News, Night Watch.
To learn more about toxic releases in your parish and around the state, you can go to the Channel 4 website and view the latest data from the 1998 Toxic Release Report. Our web address is www.wwltv.com.